We put a tag on this message this morning: messed up life made right. Messed up life made right. In 2006, there was a Canadian airline, major airline, made a slight mistake on their website. They advertised business class seats from Toronto to Cyprus for $39. That was a great deal for the customers who bought over 2,000 tickets. But it was not a great deal for the airline. The actual price of that ticket is supposed to be $3,900, not $39 a ticket. Somebody messed up. Amen? Somebody messed up. They messed up big time. And when I think about that, it made me think about my own life. Sometime in my life before, I messed up. I messed up big time. And the mistake was so bad here that it cost the airline $7.7 million. How could one person, and I imagine it was just a push of a button, make such a drastic mistake? How could one person make so many other people suffer? Because I imagine now the airlines figure, how are we going to get this money back? We're going to have to cut back on employees. We're going to have to cut hours. We're going to have to raise the rate up on some of these flights. We got to get some of this money back. $7.7 million. One person messed up bad. And again, I know what that's like. Because we all should know what that's like, because we all have messed up in life and had to pay the price for it. Amen. No perfect people over here. Evan's the only one that said amen. All these, Evan, we just so gracious to be among all these perfect people. All these saved people. That's okay. But let's take it even a little step farther. Not only have we messed up in life, we have messed up our lives. Amen? Man. But the Bible tells us that we have all made a mess of our lives because of sin. Thank you, Adam, Eve. Thank you. We have willingly, deliberately, throughout our life, sinned against God and rejected His plan for our lives. Amen? Let me just sidebar. I've been wanting a smoker for a long time, and every time I go to buy one, it's just, I don't want to pay the money for it. I don't mind. So I'm looking on Marketplace the other day, and I see one for $50, and the guy said, I only use it one time, and I can't use it no more. Will someone please come and get it? I come out on my way. Okay, I'll spend $50, a brand new smoker. But when I get there, and I pull up in his driveway, he started giving me his testimony. He says, I've had cancer, and the chemo was so bad on me that it destroyed my lungs. Then I had to have a lung transplant. And I can no longer smell the odor of the smokiness. I can't do it anymore. But then he tells me this here. He said, when I was in the hospital, I thought that I had it all together. And I'm going to heal myself, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do that. He said, but I didn't realize that I was working on my will and not God's will. But when I turned that leaf over and said, God, this is let your will be done, he said, I started healing. I started healing. My lungs started working. The medication started working. He's going to be here in a few months to give his testimony. But did you hear that? He said, when I thought I had it all together, I wasn't progressing. But when I say, Lord, it's your will, and let your will be done, that's another message. Okay. Now, I lost what I was saying. Okay, here we go. All right. If we had time to sit down, if I had time to sit down with you, with a couple pots of coffee and probably a couple thousands of double chocolate donuts, and tell you about all my stuff that I messed up in life, and if we traded stories, we'd probably be here for a long time. And if I sit down with each and one of you individually, probably the stories would get a little messier, a little sadder, a little sadder. That's because we all have messed up in life. And you can't count a measure in dollars and cents on how it has destroyed us. You have to count it in tears. You have to count it in heartaches. You have to count it in fear. You have to count it in grief. You have to count it in regret. You have to count it in guilt. You have to count it in shame. All those things go along with how we have messed up, which is so many people today, we carry those things with us. Day in and day out. All the shame, all the guilt, all the fear, all those things are bottled up in us because we have messed up our lives just that bad. But here's the good news. Here's the good news. Is that no matter how messed up your story might be, it doesn't have to stay that way. Huh? It doesn't have to stay that way. And today we're going to follow a story of Jesus. We're going to see a messed up life made right and learn some marvelous truths about a Savior that who delights in clearing up a messed up life. Somebody say amen. Things start happening in Judea, and that would have hindered Jesus' ministry. So he decided to leave for a time and go to Galilee. And in verse 3 and 4, it says he left Judea and went on the way again to Galilee. In verse 4, and he had to pass through Samaria. I want you to pay close attention to that verse 4 here. He had to pass through Samaria. Pay close attention to that verse. It's not a long verse, but I believe there's some important information in this verse because it says something about God and our Savior. Here it is, here's it again. John, the 4th chapter, 4th verse says, and he had to pass through Samaria. And what I'm about to say now might surprise some of you about this statement. He had to pass through Samaria. What I'm going to say is that is not necessarily true. Okay? It's not necessarily true. Not necessarily true. There was other ways to go to Samaria besides going around. You get Galilee inside of going around. That's just like if I decided I wanted to go to Memphis today, I can go down I-65, or I can jump over on 55, or I can just take 57 south. There's other directions. Some of them might take me a little longer than others, but some of them might be a little shorter, but I'm going to get there. I can pick my route. And geographically, Jesus did not have to go through Samaria to get to Galilee. There were other ways a person could get to Galilee in Jesus' day. And the racial and religious animosity was so strong between the Jewish people and the half-breed Samaritans, most Jews, at least the religious Jews, would avoid Samaria. They would go around Samaria. And yes, they made their journey longer. Yes, the journey was even tougher, but they would not go through Samaria. Samaritan people, so much in the thought of being around them, they did not want to be around them. They didn't want to risk of defiling themselves spiritually by traveling through that territory. In their mind, the Samaritan folks were crooks, they were thieves, they were thugs, and they would have nothing to do with them. They would go around them. It was because of its shortest distance between that he did not go through Samaria. It was oftentimes that Jesus went around Samaria. He had to pass through Samaria because there was a divine appointment. God had sent Jesus on an assignment. He sent him on an assignment. He had something for him to do. And now the disciples had no idea why they were going through Samaria, other than to save time and a few steps on their journey. And they didn't agree with it. They didn't agree with Jesus. But I don't think they're going to tell him that. We're going to tell your boss, boss, I don't think we're doing the right thing. They're not going to tell him that. They didn't agree with it. They didn't tell him that. And it may have been distasteful to them, of all of them, but going to Samaria was the wrong side of the tracks. Don't associate with those people over there. Turn their nose up to them. They were the wrong kind of people. But here's the thing. God was at work. They didn't understand why they was going through Samaria, because God had sent his son Jesus on an assignment. He had gave him an appointment to make, and he wanted him to go through that town for a specific reason. Regardless of the difficulties he faced, he wanted him to go through that town. And who? We're talking about God. God is supreme. That means that he's in control. That means that he is God all by himself. He had to go through, he had to go because someone in this little Samaritan village on this way to Galilee had made a complete mess of their life. Complete mess of life. Complete mess of life. And he was going there to restore this person's life that only Jesus could do. Now, disciples went on into town to buy some food. Jesus was at the well, and he meets a woman at the well. And as he meets this woman at the well, he asks her for a drink. She looks at him and said, "Do you know who I am?" Jesus says, "Yes." I wanted to ask him, "Do you know who I am?" But as he asked her for the drink, no other people in that town would be around her. Nobody wanted to associate with her. No one came to the well the same time she would come. She would come early in the morning or late at night because she didn't want to be around people that would gossip about her, because she was a woman that had a title. It was a woman that had history. She was called a whore. She was called a trick. She was called a strawberry. They had given her all these different types of names. But Jesus was on assignment. And his assignment was to go there and clean her mess up. Now here's verse 7. When the Samaritan woman came to draw water, the conversation started. From a culture and religious and social standpoint, the conversation never should have happened. What is Jesus doing talking to this lady? This lady of the world, this lady of the streets. Nobody want to be around her. She's made a complete mess of her life. Why is Jesus taking time out to be with her? And when the disciples came back, they looked at her and looked at him and go like, "Jesus, why are you with them? What the?" There was a racial, a national prejudice. that ran deep on both sides. The Jews and Samaritans were religiously, socially, morally filthy people. Nobody wanted to have nothing to do with them. They were referred to as dogs. And that was not a compliment. Now when I play ball, every athlete calls each other dog. Hey dog, let's go. You know, you call your homeboy dog. But not here. This didn't have the same definition to it. This was low down. This was filthy. This was dirty. This was dirty. They were fearful of the opportunity of a scandal. Why is Jesus talking to this low down Samaritan woman who has totally just messed her life up? There was no reason for it. And the disciples were like, Jesus, come on, man. I wonder did they call him dog? Come on, dog, why are you talking? No, they probably said it. She did not want to see the looks in people's face that was judging her. That's why she went to the well either early in the morning or late at night, because people would gossip about her. Now, I wonder, what would people say? Or how would husband and wife, girlfriend, when they get there to the well, they can see her, what would they whisper about her, say something about her, not realizing their life just as jacked up as her life is, and decide that we don't know nothing about her. They got a closet life. Hers is exposed and it's out there. You know what I'm saying? But everybody know her, but nobody know about what you're doing in the closet. So we'll leave that alone. They laughed at her. There was whispers, laughter directed toward her. She lived a life that was totally messed up. She was not the kind of person that Jesus should have been talking to. Especially since he was the great teacher, the great healer, the great man of law. Why would he take his time out to talk with her? John, the 4th chapter, the 27th verse, when the disciples came back, they was amazed that he was even speaking to her, and were too ashamed to ask Jesus, what were you doing? And see, this lady was unwanted, rejected, despised, broken. She had made an absolutely mess of her life. Y'all missed a shout right there. Because we all have made a mess of our lives. But let's compare her with the last person Jesus had spoken with before he got to the well. He had spoken with a man named Nicodemus. Now Nicodemus was supposed to be a righteous man, good man, a man of honor, a man of integrity. Everybody looked up to Nick. He was the guy. But he was lacking one thing. He needed a Savior. Somebody say amen. He was lacking one thing. All that goodness that he had, all that righteousness he had, all that community upstanding guy that he was still lost. He needed the same thing that this lady needed at the well. He needed a Savior. See, it make no difference how many shelters he worked at, how much money he gave away, how many people he fed, and then how many shoes he bought. It didn't make no difference at all. Because the Bible tells me the good man woke up in heaven. He woke up in hell. It's not about your goodness. It's not not about how many cups of soup that you poured at the shelter. It's not about how many dollars you gave me on the corner. Even though we're supposed to do those things, if you don't have Jesus as your Savior, you won't be going where I'm going. And regardless of how messed up her life was compared to how good his life was, still needed Jesus as a Savior. See, she needed a Savior. Miracle upon miracles. Jesus was willing to save her life. And remember, Nicodemus was this good guy. Oh, he was an outstanding guy. He's an upstanding guy. He was a guy of integrity. He was a man that everybody looked up to. But he was lacking one thing, and that was Jesus as his Savior for forgiveness. This is what I love about Jesus. He actively searches for the lost. He puts himself in the areas and in the places where people say that he shouldn't be. He don't mind getting down dirty with you. You don't mind getting in the gutter with you because he's there to bring you up. You don't mind getting filthy with you because he's there to clean you up. It reminds me of a story of, and I know we all have one of these stories, that your kid been outside playing all day long, and when they come in, they just full of mud and Kool-Aid all on their lips and down their shirt and everything, and you look at them and say, I know my child is in there somewhere. So y'all missed y'all shouting again. After all that mud and Kool-Aid and chocolate, all of them, I know my kid is in there somewhere and I'm going to clean you up. Huh? You clean them up and you send them back outside. And they come back in full of mud and chocolate and Kool-Aid again. What do y'all put any sugar in Kool-Aid? That's what Jesus does. And what Jesus was saying, regardless of who you are, of what you have been through or where you have been, you are my child. And my job is to clean you up. Because I know my child is in there somewhere. Amen?